Well, this is exciting. We're going to welcome not just one, but all three Crawford County Commissioners here this morning, and we'll start with Mr. Francis Weiderspahn. We've got Mr. Eric Henry and Mr. Christopher Soff joining us. Gentlemen, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Thank you for joining us, not just this morning, but throughout the years. We appreciate it. Eric, you won your re-election bid, and you'll be continuing on. Francis and Christopher, you guys are saying goodbye here in just a couple weeks, so we'll get your thoughts on all of that here in just a moment. But first, let's get caught up with everything that's going on at the county level. Obviously, budget time. There's a lot happening. What's the current stance on everything?
Chris,
Well, first I would just want to thank you for listing us as three county commissioners. Your choices were the three wise men or the three stooges.
Yeah.
And so
I went with that, yeah.
Yeah, so we appreciate
Went
that.
right in the middle.
Yeah.
We'll see how the rest of the interview goes.
That's
and then
right.
we'll
Determine it.
Yes, that's right.
Budget-wise, we're started. This was a very difficult budget year, probably the most difficult in my 8 years as a commissioner, I think. After we rolled it up the first time, after having met with all the elected officials and department heads, we were close to $4 million out of balance, and we knew that that was not the place where we could be. So we had a lot of discussion, went back to the department heads and elected officials, and they made a lot of cuts in their budgets, of which we're very much appreciative, and that's a direct benefit to the taxpayers of the county. Currently still 1.3 out of balance. Three of us have committed from the very beginning to not raise taxes for 2024. So we have our work cut out for us to see what we can do to fill that budget gap. And we're confident we can do it. The reality is, of course, that we are a service industry. That's what we provide. So, if things need to be cut in order to balance a budget, possibly the services are what's going to suffer. So we'll just have to see how it goes.
And that's typically, somebody will say to you, you got to trim the budget, and then you say, okay, we're gonna do this, and then they're like, well, you can't take that service away.
Right.
So when push comes to shove, that's a difficult thing. Francis, for you, are there places that you think of that you can go, okay, we can maybe look here to cut, or it sounds like there's been a lot of trimming already.
Yeah, there definitely has been, and like Christopher said, we appreciate all the departments for doing what they felt they could do to do the trim, but along with the CFO, we may have to go in and maybe do some trimming still in some of those departments. And but like Christopher said, we're committed. There will not be a tax increase, and we'll get there. But it's not unusual at this time of the year when this budget's first presented to be plus or minus $1 million out of balance. And a couple of years ago, 4 years ago, Christopher and I and John had to raise taxes, and but we committed not to do it at this.
So Francis and I have agreed that we won't take a salary in 2024 from the county in an effort to help.
Right.
That's excellent. That's actually very.
We're givers.
That's good. Yeah. Eric, you'll probably be asking for them to volunteer now for things. Right?
Yeah, they could come in and actually take on some of our duties. We need some extra help with cleaning and security. I think they do a good job with that. So.
Yeah, excellent.
You did notice Commissioner Henry did this, of which he's done a lot.
He's been doing, yes.
In 4 years.
Our wrists are kind of sore.
Francis and I are looking forward to doing this.
This was brought up before coming on, and I don't think this was planned, the red, white, and blue?
No.
Okay. Very well played. That kind of feeds into how well the three of you have worked together over the past 4 years. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. For me, this is my third term I'm wrapping up, and I was blessed all 3 times, but each time, each board got a little better and worked together a little better, and not because of anything I did, just the individuals involved. And I think I'll retire now on a high note. And hopefully it continues for Eric and Scott and Christopher. And I think that they should work very well together, but it's been a blessing to what I've experienced.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, I've been a part of 2 commissioner boards, and we've worked very well together. We haven't always agreed on every issue, and nor should we. But when a decision is made, then we work together to carry out whatever decision that is. And we hear from other counties across the Commonwealth that their boards of commissioners don't get along well. And and they can't be in the same room with each other and that kind of thing. And we don't know how you serve the people you're elected to represent when you can't get along yourselves. And so blessed is the absolute correct word to describe how we've been able to work together. So it's been an honor.
Eric, for you, what's that been like to come into this atmosphere where you've just been able to really focus on, the tasks at hand and work well? And as Christopher said, you might not always agree, but that's actually good, right? Because you can pull different ideas and different thoughts and go, did we think about this? Or what if we tried this?
Yeah, I think that there's a learning curve to being a commissioner. A lot of people have lofty ideas and goals of what that is. But I spent a year before running for commissioner basically with these guys, as many meetings as I could to see what's going on. And I still today will sit here and tell you that I still don't know everything that a commissioner might run into. I mean, it's not, no one told me I would get sued a couple times. Like, these guys didn't tell me that. And no one told me that people would be angry with you on occasion. I didn't know that. At the end of the day, though, I tell everybody this, like, this is the toughest job I've done. I'm a 30-year paramedic, so that says a lot. But without these two, I don't know where I'd be. I mean, it was a great 4 years. I'm going to miss them both. And the end result of it is like Chris said, we never always got along. But I'll tell you what, for all the decisions we made, 98% of the time we made decisions in unison. And I think that's important because we even, as little as a small decision about a maintenance project to as big as an HVAC project, $2 or $3 million, we always respected each other's opinion and listened intently. And then sometimes we could sway one or the other. But at the end of the day, it's been a great 4 years, and I certainly will miss them. And I know I can reach out to them if I ever need help, and which I still will need from them. So.
But you two have already said you've deleted his contact information.
Yeah, most
from your
likely.
phones. So, you throw COVID into the mix. This has to have been a challenging 4 years, or at least different. But how important has it been that it seems like the people with the right backgrounds were in place to handle this, and you each bring something unique to the table, but it was all very relevant to where we've been the last several years.
I will just say that I could not have imagined having anyone better to fill the commissioner seat than Eric and he came in at the start of COVID for us. And just with his medical background, his understanding, we would refer and defer to him daily as to, okay, what do we need to do? How do we need to do it? What kind of information do we need to put out to the public to help them cope with everything that the entire county is dealing with? So we got lucky, I will say, that Eric was in the position at the time and was able to bring his skills to the table. It benefited everybody.
Yeah, but your skills coming from city, school, I mean, all that played an important role too.
It did, thank you. It was a lifetime spent in municipal government, so I understood the nuances and intricacies of it. Doesn't mean I always like it. Frankly, doesn't mean that the three of us always got everything right. And we'll be the first to tell you that we didn't. But you make the best decision you can with the information that you have, and you hope it's the right one. And sometimes situations present themselves that you have to look at and self-evaluate and say, we maybe missed that one a little bit. So let's regroup and adjust, everything being done for the betterment of the county. So,
Yeah, and Francis, for you, agriculture and then your experience as a commissioner already just helped sort of lead the conversations that were taking place.
Yeah, it worked very well, as both these guys have said. And the first funding that came through, the CARES Act, we all agreed that we needed to get that money out in the community, and each from our own different backgrounds. Eric did very well at helping to get some of that money and giving us the idea and the method to get it out to the fire departments, to volunteer ambulances, and we got a portion in there that went out to ag for farmers and ag in the classroom, the Farm Bureau and stuff to help along the agricultural lines. And the same with Christopher and his background with the businesses in Meadville, Titusville, and the surrounding areas, helping them. So, I would say all time that there's three commissioners for a reason. Like you've been saying this morning, we each have our own backgrounds and the skills that we bring to the table, and I can't imagine doing this just one person.
Right.
So this is a good form of government, and
Yeah.
I'll always support it. And whoever thought up this way of governing at the county level, they did a great job.
Yeah, and during that time, you guys would still come in and update folks on what was going on, and that was terrific. And I know, Eric, you made sure like the tarps were down and everything was scrubbed and cleaned, but it worked and we were fine. So good job. So let's get into this real quick, and then Eric, I'll ask you about 2024 and what's
Sure.
to come. But Christopher, we'll start with you. Looking back for you, what was something that you're most proud of?
That's always been a difficult question for me because I feel as if it's just talking about me, and no one, especially in local municipal government, does anything by themselves. And Francis was exactly right. You have 3 commissioners. I guess I'm most proud of the relationships that I've been able to develop and cultivate with people who are the ones doing the work. We from our level we manage, but the department heads, the other elected officials, the people in the offices who run the day-to-day business of the county in order to provide a service for the people who live and work in Crawford County. I'm most proud of the way that we've been able to continue to get the best from them and let them succeed in what they're doing, because that helps everybody. Projects come and go, and sure, there have been a bunch of projects that I've been a part of, not the only person.
And I'll ask you about that collectively in a moment.
Yeah, so I for me, it's the people.
Okay, the people. Francis?
Well, and I'm not trying to say this is only me, but I think the thing I'm most proud of that's been accomplished over my 12 years is the commissioners being active and at the courthouse every day. Yeah. And unless we're at a conference or at a meeting somewhere in county or even in the region, generally you'll find all 3 of us there. And certainly always, hardly ever, there isn't at least 2. And that's great for our constituents, the people that work for the county. In the past, they've said they sometimes couldn't find a commissioner. And usually they can find all 3 of us, and certainly 2 most of the time, if not all 3. So that's one of the things I'm really glad that we've been able to do. All 3 boards have worked with me to do that, and this board has done a fantastic job, and I hope that continues.
All right, I'll ask you collectively in a moment if there's one project in particular. But Eric, for you, when you look back at this year, is there something that stands out to you that you're most proud to either sort of shepherd or have a major voice in?
I just think that when you talk about who was here at what time, not just for COVID, but post-COVID, when the federal government wanted to provide us a large amount of money, and I can't imagine anybody else sitting at that table than these guys and our subcommittees and the people who are our department heads. The first go-around with CARES Act, we had the treasurer and the chief clerk helped us, and the planning director. This round, we have CFO, and we have Deb Frawley, who I always like to say her name right here because she's done a wonderful job with our ARPA funds and really looks out for the communities. But at the end of the day, I give Francis a lot of this credit because the courthouse is in a much better place when you're talking about restoration and ability. We have HVAC in there, we have new windows, and we have new handicap accessible ramp. I'm very proud of all 3 of those projects because, and without that money, we wouldn't be able to do it. But it took Francis's building background and his years here to say, gosh, we've been wanting to do windows for years, but there wasn't any money to do it. And without that money, we wouldn't be able to do it still. But we prioritized it, and the building looks good. I'm proud of the building. It's got some more things we have to do, but that was something I'm very proud of with these guys. We accomplished a lot of things, I think. So
Yeah, there's a couple rocky years in there with
Sure.
people's thoughts on those types of projects.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's a building that still needs to be taken care of,
Sure.
and hasn't been in decades. So obviously that's important. You're watching the Morning Drill on Stream Television and on Armstrong's Neighborhood Channel. Here with the 3 commissioners this morning. So far, we're good. I'll let you know by the end.
Thanks.
Collectively, is there something when you look back over the last several years that you look at and collectively say, boy, together we're proud of, I know everything that you've had your mark on has been important, but is there one project that stands out above the others?
I'll start only by saying this, and it may not be the project, but the rural broadband initiative we're working on, I think, will end up being a great project. These guys aren't going to be able to see that project in the infancy, but I think when we're all done, the three of us and the other staff will be, I think, will be very proud of what we can do. It's other government levels taking a little bit longer, but we did do one part of that. We went to an agricultural farm. We talked about Starlink. We started a Starlink project, and that's so many people have been helped out by Starlink through this grant we used. That's just one of many things, but it stands out for me because I think it's going to be really good when we're all done. So,
and that is important because sometimes I don't think people understand that it takes a while sometimes just to get that groundwork laid, and there's a lot of work that goes into that. So yeah, that's very important.
Yeah. Well, Eric kind of hit on it earlier here. What we've been able to do, especially in these last 4 years, but through my 3 terms, is the improvements we made at the courthouse and the facilities across county facilities occur across the county. I'm very pleased with how that's done. I think we're leaving the county in pretty good shape for future boards. It was started before I came in 12 years ago to look at either putting an addition on the courthouse or going up a town or going beside, and we picked it up from there. And there was a lot of discussion, pro and con and so forth, but I think we've got the county in a pretty good position now that there shouldn't have to be any major projects once we finish up the parking and some sidewalks and roads around the courthouse that need some maintenance issues, and nothing major, but things and that'll pretty well finish up the project, and at least the county won't have to focus on that for several years, good many years into the future.
Yeah, you'll be able to smile when you drive past.
Yes.
Yeah. Christopher?
I echo both of those, thoughts on projects. I would also add that 2 things. One, with the county divesting itself of the care center, one of the most difficult decisions that this Board of Commissioners had to face, but will benefit the county overall in terms of county government for years to come. Not easy. That's still a great place, still great care, and that was really paramount important to us that level of care was maintained. But that's huge, and as Francis alluded to, repopulating the empty spaces in the current courthouse is big, and I know that Eric and his colleagues will continue to work on that and make some headway, because those will pay dividends to county taxpayers for years to come. If they're able to get out of paying rent in other places and have some offices come back into the county, that'll be huge. But it's all a matter of what period are we talking about with the building of the new judicial center now 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
Wow.
To just the public safety building was a huge project. All the renovations and new construction at the current courthouse. Buildings need to be maintained, and if they're let go for too long, then the expenses increase dramatically. So, but it's been an active project list that we've continued to maintain, and there's still things that are on that list that, as was said, Francis and I won't be a part of those decisions, but we're sure that they'll be dealt with in the best possible way.
Eric, are you keeping your office, or are you moving into the executive suite?
No, I actually like my office.
Okay.
You can see who's at the countertop, so it's good.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And then he ducks under his desk.
Yeah.
When,
Go see
I still
them.
do this. That's what I do. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right, some real quick questions before we wrap up. Francis, we'll start with you. What's something you learned about yourself as a commissioner?
Oh my. Jeez. I guess that I can kind of think things through on a much larger scale, on the county level, not just, I was a business owner. I had a construction business, dairy farming, and so forth, and that just affected me and my family. But finding out that with the help of the other commissioners and other people in the county, various departments, and maintenance plays a big part in that. I can look at the big picture and do what we feel, like Christopher said earlier, at their time, with the information we have, is the best thing we can do, and find out that we can tackle those kind of things, and I could be a part of that.
Christopher?
I guess for me, the biggest thing I learned was about Crawford County. I didn't have a reason to go from Jamestown to Spartansburg or Beaver Township to Titusville. My location was more centrally in the county. And just the wonderful things that happen in this county on a daily basis, from all the different dinners of the different fire departments and the church groups and the roads that take you from one part of the county to the other. It is a beautiful, wonderful county. In election day, I get to drive all around, and it's just wonderful. So that's really what I've learned the most, is just how amazing this county really is.
Eric, what did you learn about yourself from these two?
I think to me it's the idea that you can only do so much, and that's the first part, because I think new commissioners, Chris and I are talking way over. Sometimes people come in and they maybe have loftier ideas, but there's a certain finite number of things we should do. But to be honest with you, I think the most important thing I learned from these two is just transparency. And people don't utilize that, but I don't think you'll find a more transparent group of people than we are. Our doors are always open, and we hear things from, I'm mad at my supervisors because of my ditch, to my internet is no good. But we always had our door open, and we always listen to everybody, and just the accessibility and the transparency that we've provided, and these guys have shown me how important that is. And a lot of people will stick on the old 5-minute time you have to speak at a meeting. But we always tell people, you can speak to us anytime. You don't have to be at a meeting to do that, and probably have a more productive outcome in the end. So
Yeah, that's excellent. Okay, real quick, if Santa could grant you 3 wishes for the county, Christopher, we'll start with you. What would you ask
3
for?
wishes?
3.
I
yeah.
get 3?
You get 3. If you want to use 1, that's fine.
I wish for nothing but wonderful things for the stream and you.
Yeah. Do you have to return that shirt, by the way, in a couple weeks?
I do. I just
right.
rented it.
Eric, you're going to send the security over to their houses, right?
yeah,
To
probably yeah.
confiscate all Crawford County gear.
That's why I'm losing some weight. I need to try and fit in this shirt.
Yeah.
So.
You should frame it and put it
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
You should sign it and
I can do that.
hang it at the courthouse.
Yeah, I'd love that.
All right.
Yeah.
What was your other 2? You anything else?
No, I'm deferring my 2 to my esteemed colleagues.
Well, I just wish all the best to the next Board of Commissioners and future boards. And I think it's great that Eric chose to run again, so there's some continuity there
Yeah.
with one commissioner coming back, and he'll do a great job guiding them as we tried to do for him, and he's done very well, and I think he'll do that for the coming board. So I just wish them all the best and where they'll take the county from here.
Eric, I'm going to change the question for you.
Sure.
What do you look forward to in 2024 with 2 new people joining you?
I mean, I think the same, hopefully same cohesive relationship we have. We have some massive challenges ahead. We have a $20 million radio project that's going to be mandated from the federal government, where we have to stare at this lawsuit that's towards us in regards to reassessment, and if we have to find the funds for that, that's $5 million that we don't have. Wow. At the end of the day, there are some very difficult challenges ahead, and it always comes down to financial. And so I certainly hope that we can all have the same type of relationship in the future.
All right. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you for having us. We've been blessed to be here monthly, and it's been an honor for us.
So now I have to say the 3 wise men then.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to
There
have
you
to.
go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, thank you.
Have a
That
great
took a while.
Christmas.
That took
You
a
too.
while.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
All the best to you and your families.
You too.
Thank you.